Welcome to Often Pacing on Tab Radio Racing and Sport. Tim Walker will be joined by Matt Young and Oliver Cownie as they delve into the form for today's Pinjarra harness meeting, as well as an early look at tomorrow's meeting at Gloucester Park. We are Often Pacing.
Ahead of what's going to be a wonderful week for harness racing in the state with the Tab Touch WA Pacing Cup. It is great to kickstart it with Often Pacing this morning. Great to have your company, Tim Walker, with you. A very busy half hour on the way. Deni Roberts is going to be a special guest after she was able to take out the WA Derby on Friday night with Christopher Dance, and clearly we'll look ahead to this week as well with Minstrel having drawn barrier 2 for the Tab Touch WA Pacing Cup. Also an eye towards the 4-year-old classic today at Pinjarra as the 4-year-old series starts to take shape. Before that, though, we need to get stuck into our two experts for this morning in Ollie Cownie and Matt Young. We're going to have a look at Pinjarra. Clearly no meeting tomorrow to look at with the meeting down here on Wednesday post-Melbourne Cup Day. And we'll get the best bets, though, to hopefully build a bank for a busy couple of days of racing here in the West. And we can get the snap reaction from Matt and Ollie as well on the Tab Touch WA Pacing Cup barrier draw. Matt, to you once again, good morning.
Good morning, Tim. Ollie, everyone tuned in.
Yeah, very good morning to you as well, Ollie.
Morning, Tim. Morning, Matt. I've just seen some news on Twitter that Swayze has paid the late entry fee for the New Zealand Cup, so he's going to be heading to the New Zealand Cup to defend that, which we hadn't thought he would be until very recently. So that's really interesting news that's just broken there.
$28,000 late entry fee to be paid. That is the report this morning. Jason Grimson is going to do that. So, Ollie, obviously we're keeping an eye on what's happening over at Kaikoura today, and it's a big day over there, one of the picturesque race meetings each and every year. So we're not too far away from New Zealand Cup Day. It's on the horizon. What's your thoughts? Can Swayze go over there and make it back-to-back?
I definitely think there's some doubt around whether Leap to Fame will head over now. They've got some blood tests back, which they weren't totally happy with, and he's obviously already had a hiccup there being scratched from the Vic Cup. So there has to be some serious doubts about whether Leap to Fame does go over, and if he doesn't, then Swayze will turn up there and probably be a pretty overwhelming favourite. So would expect either way, even if Leap to Fame does go, I think Swayze is an outstanding horse, and off his effort in that Vic Cup where he won it so impressively, I think he's going to take plenty of beating in that race.
All right, that is big news this morning that is coming out of the East Coast. Swayze set to head back to New Zealand, a $28,000 late entry fee to be paid. It is a really, really interesting piece of news that has come through there. Closer to home, Matt, let's get your thoughts on what we just heard about 45 minutes ago, the Tab Touch WA Pacing Cup barrier draw. If you did miss it, it was the all-important barrier number 1 that went the way of Penny Tiger, while barrier 2 belongs to Minstrel for this Friday night. 3 for Mighty Ronaldo, 4 for Jumping Jack Mac, 5 Mr. Smarty Diego, and 6 are the Hall senior runners grouped together there. 7 for Tricky Mickey, 8 for Tenzing Bromac, Lavra Joe 9, Sangway Real 10, Captain Ravishing 11, and Swingband 12. We saw him very competitive in a Freo Cup from a favourable draw. Penny Tiger, Matt, can he do the same this week?
Yeah, I'd imagine that they'd be leading at all costs with Penny Tiger. They wanted to lead the other day. So it's going to be a really fascinating race. The barrier draw, and I'm sure Ollie will concur with this, is making things very interesting as to what is going to happen tactically. I think Penny Tiger will lead. Minstrel will want to try and hold a forward position, and then you've got Jumping Jack Mac will be wanting to get forward into a good spot. Mr. Smart, he's going to no doubt try and run the gate as well. So it creates a lot of interest in the race as to who's going to end up where. And, yeah, all of this benefits a horse like Captain Ravishing and Swingband off the back row draw. If it is a quick lead time or it's a genuinely run race, which from the barrier draw it looks like it's going to be, it's going to really play into the hands of those horses. Even Sangway Real, beautifully drawn in 10. So I think we've gone in with Mr. Smarty, pre-post favourite. He was in the red, which I thought was a little bit under the odds, considering without a barrier draw, it's hard to really get too excited about jumping in at those odds. But you're going to get better than that in the Pacing Cup. Looking at it straight up, he's going to be a decent enough price in this race. And I think there's about 5 winning chances now. So it's a really fascinating race.
How did you see it playing out early, Ollie?
Totally agree with Matt's thoughts there. It's made it really interesting, the barrier draw. And the way I saw it was Penny Tiger is a brilliantly fast horse, and he obviously has options from gate one, but I was thinking that he might want to hand over to Minstrel, who's, he's a brilliant front runner. He's been there. He's done that for a few years now. He can do work in his races, and I think he'll get Penny Tiger all the way to the corner there, and then Penny Tiger will be looking for gaps late. That's how I'd play it if I owned Penny Tiger. I thought Mr. Smarty wasn't necessarily a loser from the draw. I think it was just a bit of a neutral draw there. I think he's still going to be a really fantastic chance, but certainly, as Matt mentioned, he won't go around at $1.80. And Captain Ravishing, the one that really impressed on Friday night, I think he's a big winner from the draw. That's a fantastic draw for him. He's brilliantly fast as well. And as Matt mentioned, if they do go quickly in the early stages, he'll be one that's powering home at the finish. And Swingband, he was steaming home late on Friday night, and he'll be better for that run. So he's definitely one at probably bigger odds that'll be really dangerous there if he gets the right run.
All right. Now, boys, I know that there's a lot of time that is going to unfold between now and Friday night, and a lot of different talking points, no doubt, as well with this Pacing Cup. But I have to do this. I have to get a preliminary top three. Obviously, these can be subject to change. I need to get your three that you're keen to be with. So, Matt, last week you were Jumping Jack Mac, Mr. Smarty, Penny Tiger. Any reason to deviate from them, particularly with what Captain Ravishing did on Friday?
I'm still happy enough with Jumping Jack Mac. I think he's going to get a reasonable run in the race. So I'm still happy to have him as my number one. I've been really impressed with him every single start through. But looking at the race now, Mr. Smarty and Penny Tiger are going to get a perfect run. Yeah, look, I'm not going to change going into the Pacing Cup. Those were the three that I wanted to stick with, so I'm happy to be with them. But, I've got a healthy respect for Captain Ravishing and Swingband as well. So, you're throwing me on the spot there, Tim. That's a really tough one. But I'm hoping that Jumping Jack Mac's double figures. I think he might be. And he's probably worth an each-way bet with how I think the race could be run.
Yeah, look, no, and we won't hold you to these, Matt. This is why you'll be back on Friday morning on the Retrovision Gloucester Park preview to give that final set of numbers. But just a preliminary one. So, Ollie, last week you were Mr. Smarty, Lavra Joe, and also Penny Tiger. Have you got reason to deviate there?
Definitely. I think now the draw has been done, I'm really happy to put Penny Tiger on top on the basis that he does take a city so fast, and if he is able to secure that really good run on the leader's back, then I think he'll be incredibly dangerous late, and I think he's potentially the one to beat it in what could potentially be a truly run race. I'm happy to put Minstrel in second. I think he's one of the big winners from the draw. If he's able to push onto the top, he'll take a stack of beating. Obviously had a little hiccup recently, but doesn't sound like that was a big issue, and he should be turning up here near 100%. And in third, I'm going to put Mr. Smarty in. He's a really high-quality horse. He's just burst onto the scene recently, and he looks a really strong chance there. I'm sure he'll be pushing forward at the start. He'll race prominently, and he should be very hard to beat from there. I've removed Lavra Joe. I thought on Friday night he was a bit ordinary after leading, so now he's drawn gate 9. I can't really see him figuring, and he'll probably go around it at a very big odds. I really, really have a lot of respect for Captain Ravishing there, and he would be my next in. I thought he was terrific on Friday.
Terrific. All right, that is Jumping Jack Mac, Mr. Smarty, Penny Tiger there for Matt, Penny Tiger, Minstrel, Mr. Smarty for Ollie. Just preliminary thoughts for the Tab Touch WA Pacing Cup. All right. Let's turn our attention to the balance of last Friday's meeting, gents, and some horses to follow. Matt, we'll let you get it underway here with your three to follow from Friday night.
Yeah, I thought there's a couple to really look forward to out of Friday night, and one especially that I had to mention watching the replays was unbelievable performance. But Miss Hepburn, firstly, she was very unlucky in a race that was run to suit, but I just like how she travelled through the quick sections. She never once looked sort of perturbed by what was happening in front of her, and she went to the line bolting. I know they only got home in 30 seconds, so I just really liked what I've seen of her through this whole preparation, and I think she's going to have a win very soon, heading towards the end of the season. So Miss Hepburn, keen to keep following her. I thought Golden Lode's performance in the WA Derby, if you want to see a more unlucky performance, watch Golden Lode. He's you go a long way to see anything more unlucky than him. He was held up at vital stages. He was checked down the back straight. He was taken back through the field by Franco Encore and then checked with the interference that happened up ahead of him. And then he's darted and weaved in throughout the field and then was held up behind them going to the line. He was sizzling to the line, and I thought his performance was outstanding. I know he's probably going to go around shortish in his next runs, but look, if he's in a Metro 3-year-old race and you're getting some half-decent odds about him, he is a serious horse that's going to be one to follow as a 4-year-old. And Follow Rock and Roll, I thought, was really good in the last race. The pace was on, but he came wide, sustained it from about 500 metres out and ran into fourth place and was really closing off strongly. So he's one to follow for me. So Miss Hepburn, Golden Lode and Follow Rock and Roll.
All right, what about you, Ollie?
I thought two of the real highlights on Friday night was a couple of horses that have been out of the winner's circle for a while in Wonderful to Fly and Exceptional Armour in that first race. A horse in behind that also really impressed me was Naze Vera. I thought she was terrific in that first race. She was hitting the line powerfully and ended up being held up at a crucial stage. And there's probably a good chance she wins the race if she gets out a little bit earlier. And she's just going awesome at the moment, Naze Vera. So a little bit of luck in one of her races soon, and she'll be going very close to winning it. In the second race, I thought Ricky's Dream on return was fantastic. He obviously had gate 9 there, so on paper he didn't really look much hope, and he was first up, and he really hit the line with some vigour, and they did run home pretty reasonably quick sectionals there. He was coming home quicker than anything else, and he's a horse that I've always had a really good time for. He went around in the Nugget Consolation last year as a 4-year-old, and things just haven't gone right for him as a 5-year-old this year. So I think he's a quality horse and we can follow him. And then my third horse to follow was High Price in race 7. I've made him a horse to follow a few times and he just hasn't had much luck in his races. That was the case again on Friday. Instigator was a fantastic winner and really impressed there, dashing home a really slick last half. But High Price made up really good ground in the concluding stages out wide on the track and thought he was fantastic there and would have run a pretty slick last half himself. So I think there's a race for High Price very soon.
All right, so that is Naze Vera, Bricky's Dream and High Price for Ollie. Matt going with Miss Hepburn and rightfully Golden Lode out of the WA Derby. It was some performance and Follow Rock and Roll on Friday. So we turn our attention to Pinjarra today, and this is a nice little entree for what's to be a big week here in WA on the harness racing front, the 4-year-old classic, and it is on the agenda for both boys to talk about. So we'll get to that in just a moment, but we might get your first two selections, gents. So, Ollie, you're going to race 1 and 3. So just do those two if we can, and we'll save the 4-year-old classic once Matt's given his first two.
In the first race, it looks like a really good little trot, this one at Pinjarra. There's a few horses in this race that are going quite well. Saloon is a horse I've been with a few times, and he just continues to run well without winning, and he's certainly had a few chances. So I'm happy to be with Nicky's Son in this race. I thought he was really good last yard. He went very close to winning that one. He actually finished just behind Saloon, but in this race, he's got good gate speed, so I think Nicky's Son can push to the front. Saloon seems to go best when driven with a sit, so he'll sit behind Nicky's Son, and he'll certainly be a danger there. And given I've now jumped off and jumped onto Nicky's Son, I'm sure Saloon will be the one that's probably knocking him off, but I'm just hoping that Nicky's Son can get an easy enough run out in front and can potentially pinch that one. And then in race 3, I think there's a horse here that's nearing peak fitness now in Songster. I can't see it winning the race, but I can definitely see it showing enough gate speed to hold them all out and then take cover on a Duke to Be, who I think is clearly the one to beat in this race. Over the mile, I think Songster can hang on for a placing there. Matt mentioned on the preview this morning he was pretty keen to keep it safe as well. So I think Songster can hang on for a place at decent odds there.
Okay, now, Matt, go to race 5 and 6 for your first two before the 4-year-old Classic.
Yeah, look, I think the Little Master will be winning race number 5, but I just thought it was a good exacta play. Little Master, Good Time Louis. I think if you can get flip of the coin odds about Good Time Louis in a pay 1-2 race for the place, I think he's the way to go. He's a reasonably smart horse. He's got the draw. He beat Franklin Delano from a good draw a couple of starts ago. And, I couldn't see Franklin Delano being able to sit sort of back in the field or outside of him and be able to stop him from running into second. So I think Good Time Louis a place is probably the way to go. But if you want a little bit maybe extra value, I'd say the exacta with the 1 and the 2. Okay. Race number 6 on the card, I was happy to be with Torpedo Rock each way. Look, I think Franco Ecuador's going to be incredibly hard to beat, but there is speed from 1, 2, 3 and 4. And over the lap race, Franco Ecuador is first up and going around the short odds. 2 from 2 for Torpedo Rock. I just thought on an each-way play, he will be getting home really well from back in the field, and he just seems to really sizzle. He's also had 0 luck recently. His last 2 zeros to his name, not really showing his true form. So his win 3 starts ago was good. I think he'll go pretty good in this race, so happy to be with him each way.
$5.50 at the moment with Tab Touch. These markets are coming through as we speak. Okay, the APG Pinjarra 4-year-old Classic, the first of 4 really exciting 4-year-old races, and we know that Mr. Smarty and Never Ending will link up with these races in time. On the Black Flash is $2.75, Matt. $3.20 Sorodere Lusaka at $4.40. We'll have more with Deni Roberts on Lusaka in just a moment, but you were with On the Black Flash earlier on this morning on the preview.
Yeah, look, I was happy to be with On the Black Flash. I looked at the race and I've sort of gone over it a few times in different scenarios, and I thought Sorodero would probably lead the event. Horses that he would hand up to in the race, Captain Bligh. He's a very good front-running top, but he is first up, and I just didn't see him getting the top. Soho Firestone, I didn't see him getting the top. Sky Lou, I think Aidan would be quite concerned that if he handed up to Sky Lou, it'd be very hard to beat. So, and then you've got Louis Dior, Rock Artist and Hull St. Louis from wide draws. So I thought Aidan would probably just have to bite the bullet and lead here, but that really brings in On the Black Flash into this race. He'll be leaders back, and even if he's not leaders back, I'm expecting him to be 3 back to pegs at the worst. And with what he's shown since coming back, I think he'll be really hard to beat. So I was happy to be with him. And with the scratching of OK Boomer, I was just going to throw one out. Sweet Lucifer, you have to have this horse in your top 4s or trifectas and first 4s, because I can see him angling down to the inside. He's got a really good turn of foot. He's been sitting on speed well, and you have to consider him as a top 3, top 4 player now that he's going to start from barrier number 10. I think Lusaka will stay in the moving line. So following On the Black Flash could be the perfect spot for Sweet Lucifer, but I'm with On the Black Flash on top here. Yeah,
obviously disappointing for OK Boomer, but Sweet Lucifer getting into this race adds another dimension to it, Matt. Absolutely hearing what you're saying. Ollie, your thoughts on the 4-year-old Classic?
I totally agree with Matt's thoughts on Sweet Lucifer there. I thought he was a terrific roughie now that he's gotten into the race, and he's just been outstanding this time in. He's come back a different horse, and they've done a fantastic job with him, so have to respect him. And if he does get the right run, can definitely see him figuring in the minor money. I saw it exactly the same as Matt. I thought off the back of some really good runs leading, Sorodere would want to lead the race. He led a Higgins Memorial heat, and he was able to hold them off there. He copped a bit of pressure, and he was still too good leading, and then he was able to find the front after burning early in the final, and he led and won that race as well. So he is a very capable front runner, Sorodere, which I think gives On the Black Flash every chance in that race. He's certainly going to be very hard to beat if he gets that run. He's brilliantly fast. He was terrific in the Derby last year when he finally got out of the clear. He flashed into third there. So have a lot of respect for Sorodere leading, but I do think On the Black Flash is going to be incredibly hard to beat on his back. And Lusaka might also be the danger first up from a spell. He's a very classy horse, and it's a fantastic field. It's going to be a great race.
Looking forward to seeing how this afternoon plays out. 4:18, it gets underway. All right, Ollie, Matt, thanks for your time this morning, gents. We might have to put you on overtime. We've held you a little bit longer this morning, but we do appreciate your analysis of Pinjarra today and also a look back to last Friday night. Matt, we'll hear from you. Probably catch up with you on Wednesday morning, I would have thought, for a preview of the Wednesday meeting at Gloucester Park, and the Racing WA Harness X page will be the place to be.
Looking forward to it, Tim. All the best.
And Ollie, you enjoy the Pacing Cup this week and all of the action that does unfold out of New Zealand as well this afternoon. And that big news, just as you mentioned earlier on, that Swayze is going to pay up and head back to defend his title.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Tim.
There is Ollie Cownie and Matt Young. All right, we're going to take a very short break. When we come back, Deni Roberts will be with us following the win of Christopher Dance on Friday nights.
They are Often Pacing on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
It's just gone 10 minutes to 10 o'clock. Great to have your company on this Monday morning. And it is time to welcome in the winning driver from Friday night's Sky Racing WA Derby. That being Deni Roberts with Christopher Dance. Too good in the 3-year-old feature. Deni, a very good morning to you and congratulations.
Good morning, Tim. Thank you very much.
How big of a thrill was Friday night?
Yeah, I think it's definitely my favourite Group 1. I've won for sure. I don't know what it is about the Derby, but it's a bit special, that one. So yeah, I was pretty pumped up afterwards, and yeah, adrenaline was running high. I was pretty stoked. Obviously, you had a decision to make as well, coming from barrier number 9, Christopher Dance. You had Vegas Strip, who delivered your first Group 1 a little over 12 months ago. Does the fact that you pulled the right rein in terms of selecting who you were going to drive play a role in why this is your favourite Group 1? I think so. All of our 5 runners were all in really good form, and I was almost going to lead towards the draw, and even Friday morning I was still kicking myself and thought I should have gone with Vegas, but I just know the motor of Christopher Dance, and sitting behind him at home, he's just all class. So I was hoping that prevailed, and yeah, it did. It certainly did. How impressed were you by the way that he put away what was, as you say, a very, very good field there on Friday night? And you know better than anyone about the other 4 runners from the stable that were engaged in the race. So it was a high quality edition of the Derby this year. Yeah, definitely. I didn't think he should have put them away like that. Even though he wasn't involved in the lead, he was still following a strong speed and still, had to make that 3-wide move pretty far out. So it's not like he had an easy go of it. I thought the margin should have been a lot closer, especially with the depth of the field. So I think that just goes to show just how good he is. And we asked Greg this question last week when we spoke to him in the lead up to the Derby. Does he give you the indication now that he's going to go on to bigger and better things as a 4-year-old, thinking even towards this time next year? Could he be doing what we're seeing from Mr. Smarty and taking on the best of the free-for-allers? Yeah, I can't see why not, Tim. He's got all the attributes of a top liner, and he's still knocked off when he hit the front on Friday. I think when he's got something to really challenge him, you'll see a pretty nice version of him. He's going to come back bigger and better and stronger next time. So yeah, can't wait to see what comes of him. Yeah, he's a very, very exciting prospect. And just on the rest of the team, runners there on Friday night, Matt just mentioned about the run of Golden Lode, a terrific performance. Obviously, then you came along very good as well. But right throughout this build-up to the Derby, they've all been thereabouts knocking on the door, and you must be pretty rapt with how all of them performed there on Friday night too. Yeah, so proud of all of them. It was, an effort by the whole team to get, 5 in, and credit to Greg and Sky to have all 5 of them in great form and ready to go right when it mattered. And yeah, Golden Lode's run was enormous. It would have been, I probably wouldn't have liked to see if he had a better run, but whether he would have beat me, I'm not sure, but he definitely would have run a nice second. So yeah, he's got a very promising future. And then you came along, he's just gone to leaps and bounds every start. I think he'll be an even better 4-year-old. So yeah, no, I couldn't be happier with our boys on Friday.
All right, rightfully so. Deni Roberts is with us on the program. You've mentioned a number of times in interviews post-race that Artie by the Seaside, she is so very exciting. It was Friday night the perfect blowing out of the cobwebs ahead of the first of the Mares features this week?
Yeah, it was. Obviously, I set her a bit of a task the start before, and she had a bit of a torrid run there. And on Friday, she was probably the most relaxed I've ever had her, and I was actually slightly concerned. But when I asked her, yeah, she was full of running. So yeah, perfect. I think lead up sort of hit out for her leading into this Friday, and yeah, no, we just got to hope for a draw.
All right, now speaking of hoping for a draw, well, that part of the equation has been ticked for Minstrel in this Friday's Tab Touch WA Pacing Cup. He was due this one.
Oh, so was I. I can't remember the last time we drew that well, so yeah, he's going to be not used to it at all, but yeah, great for him to draw right in and amongst it, definitely.
So, missed the run a couple of weeks ago. Is everything on track behind the scenes with him?
Yeah, look, he's come through it fine. It was probably a bit more on the cautionary side of things, but yeah, his work's been great since. He hasn't missed much. So yeah, no, you'll see a pretty good Minstrel on Friday, I would say. All
right. We know that Penny Tiger has drawn barrier number one. So with the way that, and then seniors fancies are in 4 and 5 there, jumping Jack Mack, and then you've got Mr. Smarty as well. So just your flinch reaction to how things might unfold. Did you envisage that the one would be leading?
Yeah, well, obviously it's got the best gate speed out of the field. It's got options. Usually, sometimes it would take a sit over the longer trip, but, it's Pacing Cup, you're drawing one. But I'd say there'd be a few seniors runners and us are all going to be looking for forward spots there early. So, yeah, they'll be a bit on early, I think, to find positions. But, yeah, I think we'll see what happens on Friday. All
right. And just a word on Tenzing Bromack and how he's tracking behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, look, they're neck and neck on their work. Minstrel and Tenzing Bromack, they work together most times, and yeah, there's not much between them at the minute. So yeah, if they happen to go silly, he's definitely a knockout chance. All
right, so that is this Friday's Tab Touch WA Pacing Cup. Now, keen to get your thoughts today, if we can as well. The 4-year-old classic Lusaka is right there in the thick of things and has drawn relatively kindly for this first up assignment today. Is everything on track with him?
Yeah, no, very excited to get him back to the races. He always goes so good fresh. So, yeah, definitely a nice field to come back into. But he's got a nice draw there. He's not used to good draws either. So, yeah, we've got some options there early, I guess. But, yeah, he's got a pretty nice turn of foot. So, as long as he's handy enough, he should be in the finish there.
All right. Outside of that, I know we've covered a bit of ground. Is there one other that you're looking forward to today? Is it perhaps another 3-year-old in the Little Master?
Yeah, the Little Master, definitely. We had a few setbacks with him, and if we didn't have them, he probably would have been another Derby prospect. So pretty excited to get back behind him. He's got a nice draw of a short trip, and, yeah, he can run some pretty good sectionals. So, yeah, he's probably the other one I'm looking forward to.
Well, hopefully it is a good start, a good continuation of the week. Obviously, last Friday night was terrific for you, Deni, and well done to yourself and also Greg and Sky on a really good achievement with all of the 3-year-olds right there in the first half of the field on Friday night. And let's hope that it rolls on to today and then again on Friday night. And thanks for your time this morning on Off and Pacing.
Thanks, Tim. Anytime.
All the best. There is Deni Roberts with us, rounding out Off and Pacing for this Monday morning. All right, we're going to leave it there. Don't forget, Friday night, we are going to be on the grassed area at Gloucester Park. So we've got the outside broadcast. Matt Young, Trent Cooper will be along. I'll be in the parade ring as well. So looking forward to being down here as we look forward to what's going to be a terrific edition of the $450,000 Tab Touch WA Pacing Cup. Hopefully you're able to find a winner or two between now and then in the Pacing Cup itself. And we'll be back next Monday morning from 9:30 to tie it all up, and it'll be all about the 4-year-olds from there. Going to leave you in the capable hands of Saskia Zapier for race day. Find a winner today.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.